everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Mycon Podcast. I'm Shion Okimbale, your host. This Mycon Podcast is independent of my weekly or everyday show on Channels Television, which is Politics Today, and the weekend edition, Sunday Politics. On this Mycon Podcast, it's a platform for people to express themselves independently, and people have the freedom of thought of their ideas. Today, we shall be speaking with the mouthpiece and the spokesperson to a former vice president and a presidential candidate in the 2023 election. Himself, a journalist. If you can call him a veteran journalist here, because considering the number of years he spent on the job, maybe he passed for that. Is Mr. Paul Ibe. He's the advisor on the media to Mr. Atiku Abubakar. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Ibe, for joining us now.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It seems that you and your principal are not taking it easy with the government of the day. What seems to have happened?
Well, the government of the day got a mandate, and they're expected to deliver on that mandate, which is to make life, easier for Nigerians. And we are Nigerians, we are stakeholders, and we should be concerned about the goings on, in the country, which is not palatable.
I mean, it's yet 1 year. It's not yet 1 year since they got into office, and the kind of bombardment in terms of criticisms that is coming from your quarters, when we wonder if you want to give them any breather at all.
The saying that is, the bright day that brings forth the other. I mean, it will be 1 year in about 3 weeks, thereabouts. But it's not about how long. It's about what are the signs, what are they doing to suggest that, that there is that they know what they are doing. I mean, they have taken false steps, and they have been running policies that are not at variance, with improving the lives of the ordinary Nigerians.
So, I mean, what will these policies be? Because the government is saying that they are more of a welfareist. They are thinking of the Nigerian people, and that is what is driving their policies. When you say the policies are at variance with the aspirations of the Nigerian people, what do you mean?
There is nothing to suggest, Sheon, that these policies that are put in place are for Nigerians, maybe for dead Nigerians. As we speak, inflation is 33% or thereabout. Food inflation is 40%. Meanwhile, they just increased the announced increment. I don't know if it has taken effect of salaries by 35%. Put this side by side with all of the policies that have enunciated in recent times. Look at energy, for example. Look at electricity, over 200% increase. Look at fuel, over 200% increase. How do you expect the ordinary Nigerian to survive in the midst of all of these increases in the cost of survival?
There are those who will say that these things are all evident, and there are those, in fact, who have said if your principal, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, had come into office, he wouldn't do anything less.
Listen, it's not about, even if you and I, have the same ideas, it's about how. How are you going about implementing these policies? They're not creative. I mean, people are suffering, and yet you continue to tax people. We cannot tax our way out of the situation we are in. Multitude of taxation, indirect and indirect, tax. I mean, look at the telecom, for example. You do a transaction on a short code, and whether it is successful or not, you are debited, which means that if you had tried to do that transaction 10 times and is unsuccessful, you'll be charged 10 times. for the cost of that, it may be little, 6.36 naira thereabout, but 10 times it adds up at about 60, naira. And they think that because the model that has worked for them in Lagos, can be transferred to Abuja. No. Lagos does not represent, Nigeria. It cannot. I mean, the diversity of Nigeria from, Aba to Zamfara, from Oshogbo, to Sokoto, there are peculiarities, in different, areas. So what has worked in Lagos cannot work. Lagos is a commercial, place. I mean, with lots of opportunities, for tax, but not the other places.
I mean, so let's look at it. The likes of Mr. Peter Obi had said in the campaigns that we do not have we have a problem with production. We have a problem of making money. It's as if we are lacking in the potentialities of what can give us money. Well, so this government says they're trying to make money in ways that can be some kind of low-hanging fruit, but you think that they're not creative. What other ways do you think they could have used in making money for Nigeria?
You can't reap where you don't sow. It's not about making money. The people that you want to make money from, they also need to make money. I mean, it's so difficult running businesses at this point in time.
In Nigeria?
The so-called ease. There is no ease of doing business. What they have is tears and sorrows of people who are running businesses, at this particular point in time. So, why, somebody that doesn't have blood to give, you want to transfuse blood from an individual who has not eaten, who does not have blood to give. That's the situation that we have.
There are those who say, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, for example, when you talk about removal of fuel subsidy, he said he was going to remove subsidy. So the question is, why criticize what you said you were going to do?
What was the manner that fuel subsidy was removed? It was casual. It was not well thought through. The man did not have a cabinet in place. He didn't discuss it with anybody. There was no strategy, and he just dropped it. A policy of that nature is not something that you just drop, bam.
So you think that was the problem?
That was it, and it still remains the problem.
I mean, there are those who will say, and then they may prefer Bola Tinubu, who says, yes, this is how he wants to go about things, and Atiku Abubakar, who has never denied the fact that he's going to sell off some state assets to his friends.
That is ludicrous for anybody to suggest. It was a joke that was taken too far. I mean,
are you saying that Mr. Atiku Abubakar never said that?
It was a joke that was taken too far. I mean, it was having a banter, with when that particular statement was made, and so people took it out of context and just took the literal. That's not what it meant. What's going to sell anything to his friends? And in any case, Tinubu is the president at this point in time. Atiku is not, and so let us speak to what Tinubu. The
reason I'm asking you that question is it does look like the Atiku camp is not happy, and Mr. Atiku himself had voiced out that it does look like contract. For example, the Lagos Calabar Expressway has been awarded to friends of the Tinubus.
Let's try to understand what the issues are in this debate and why we're saying what we're saying. The truth of the matter is that contracts will always be awarded. But you want to be sure that those contracts were awarded in line with established, processes, in line with the procurement, act. So was this particular contract, was it awarded in line with the laws as it relates to procurement? The answer is no. The due process was not followed. First off, we're told that this was going to be a PPP project, but it has ended up as an EPC overnight. So, there is deception. in all of this. You tell me one thing and then you're doing another.
You say it's a EPC plus F.
Yes.
And that they went through BPP.
Listen.
And this was approved by FEC.
Listen, whether they went through the BP or BPP or whatever it is, the question is, in that process, there's expected to be a competitive bidding. You don't take a company and then just allocate, not award, it was an allocation. Because before you award a contract, like I said, there must be a process in place. There must be bidding. There must be you advertise whatever it is, the service or goods, you want to, award a contract for, competitive bidding, opening of the bid, and then you now evaluating this, and then you now announce, the winner of the bid. Did that happen in this particular instance? No, it did not. We were only told that a company has been awarded, the contract. So what was it? What gave the edge, to this particular company to have been awarded a contract of 700 kilometers passing through some of the most difficult terrain, in the country, the Niger Delta?
So, what are the thoughts of Mr. Atiku Abubakar about this? Is it the manner of the manner of giving out this contract, or who gets the contract?
It's not about what Atiku Abubakar thinks. It's about what we all know, and a lot of people have also spoken, against it. That this particular contract did not follow the due process of procurement. I mean, if we think that this is right, then there might be something wrong with us as a people and as a nation. That you will give a company, a particular company, preference over others. Is that not nepotism? If that is not nepotism, I wonder what is the definition of nepotism.
Does Mr. Abubakar have a problem with the Shaguri, Sheyi Tinubu, and the manner in which things are going? Because he has openly come out to say there's definitely an issue of nepotism in the manner in which things are being run.
It's not about individuals. Listen, our institutions can only be strengthened when we allow the process to play out. What has happened in this particular instance is that even for somebody in the outside, a potential investor, for example, looking at what is playing out in this country and seeing that there is no equity, there is no fairness in this particular process, how will you have such an individual, such a prospective investor, to be able to take that leap of faith, to come to Nigeria to bring their investment?
Would Mr. Atiku Abubakar do differently if he were in office?
He has had a history of due process. The 1999 to 2007 Atiku Obasanjo era, signposts this. Due process was followed in the award of contract. And listen, let's stop querying Atiku Abubakar. Let's interrogate what Tinubu, who is the president, is doing. Let's interrogate him.
In your own view, it's almost a year since President Tinubu got into office.
It's the worst year for Nigerians. It's never been this bad. People are suffering. Poverty is rife. There is real hunger on force walking all over the place. State of insecurity. I mean, there is no hope.
But the government is promised to renew hope.
Flip-flop of policies. They are creating jobs, what they call the audio jobs creation, non-existent. They announce investments, 600 million, Mask. It turns out to be fake news for a government that is trying to curb fake news, to turn around to be the ones who are the purveyors of the fake news. We've had that. When they traveled to Doha, there was a breach of protocol. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was number 3 on the line during the welcome party when they were being welcomed. The president's 2 sons were number 1 and number 2. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was number 3. It has never happened. Not even under the Muhammadu Buhari administration. They traveled to Dubai, came back and announced that they have lifted the ban on visa and on Emirates flying into Nigeria. It was false, fake news. I mean, government has elevated propaganda and misinformation to a state policy. How does that inspire the average citizen? How does that give hope? What impression are we trying to create, even in the international community? As a nation of liars? People that you can't trust?
So you don't think that there is any positive in this last 1 year?
What are the positives? What are the positives? I mean, I read on social media, somebody said Wike is going to have lots of, finished works to commission. And I chuckled. A lot of those roads date back as far as the Obasanjo era, or even before Obasanjo era. Somebody started them. The person who finishes the job is as good as the person who initiated it, who started it. I mean, look at the material condition of the average Nigerian. The minimum wage can't buy 25 kg. I'm not saying 50 kg, 25 kg. That's half bag of rice. You know the cost of a loaf of bread, for example.
But this government has said, if they did not make those policies that they made, if they did not make those interventions, Nigeria by now would have gone under.
They have worsened the situation.
Is Nigeria under at the moment?
They have worsened the situation in the manner that they have unveiled their policies. By the way, what we have now is a continuation of the 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari. It's an APC administration.
You don't think that this is better than Muhammadu Buhari?
No, he said he was going to continue on the path of Muhammadu Buhari. So it's a continuation. It's a continuation. It's more of bigotry. It's more of nepotism. It's more of taking loans to service the loans that they already taken, taking loans for consumption, taking loans to have a party like they did in Dubai, taking people who don't have business to do during visits. A lot of them are just to go and take selfies to post on Instagram. That's the nature of the government that we have now.
Do you think that perhaps this government requires some time to make its policies come alive? That those who say, look, no matter who becomes the president of Nigeria after the 2023 election, there will be tough decisions to make, and there will be rough patches. And this government has said, look, it will be like the pangs of childbearing, and afterwards there will be some relief and there will be joy at the end of the day. Don't you think that time will tell, and in due time we shall begin to see the benefit of this government's efforts?
From the word go, there was no indication that they even understood the enormity of the challenges that that is facing them. I don't think they did, because if they did, they would not balloon the cabinet to 48 ministers, the highest number. I mean, it was a contradiction. You say you want to cut costs, and then you are increasing the cost of of governance. I mean, look at that cabinet, for example. Can you count on your fingertips the number of persons that have square pegs in square holes? Can you count?
You don't like the
It's not just baggage. I mean, they just came for political expediency. That's what it's all about.
You think there are no quality?
How can you make impact? How can you improve, on the mess that Buhari had made of his 8 years if you're traveling on the same road that Buhari traveled, in a road to perfidy?
So there's nothing has changed in terms of
what has changed, Seun. I mean, let's ask ourselves.
There's a new president, President Tinubu.
We are Nigerians.
There is
we are not aliens.
There is a new slogan of governance, which is renewed hope, and they say that they are ready to take away the pains of Nigeria. That I thought could have been the change.
What we see is renewed hopelessness. What we see is renewed hopelessness.
Do you think that the decision Nigerians made at the polls in 2023 to choose Bola Tinubu over Atiku Abubakar, do you think Nigerians make mistakes?
Choices have consequences. That's consequence.
Do you think that Nigerians missed Atiku Abubakar?
Well, Nigerians are already expressing their opinions about the choice that they made. Some of Tinubu's core supporters now have a regret about what they did. Listen, I hope and I pray that this administration does not turn out to be Yaradua Pro Max.
How?
President goes to outside the country and they expected that he's going to return. And then 1 week after, he's nowhere. Nobody knows where he is. And there are speculations about where he is and why he is where he is. Listen, the president has the mandate of Nigerians. He was voted for. He is sustained on the resources and assets of Nigeria. Nigerians they own him, and per time they should know where he is. If your family is on an aircraft headed to the US, and then 1 hour after takeoff, that flight, that aircraft, is no longer on the radar, what will you do? You will panic because you don't know what may have happened to this aircraft. The president was expected back home, and for 1 week, we didn't know where he is. Nobody asked a question. We just pretended that nothing is happening. I don't know what is going on in this country anymore, because I know that during the era of Goodluck Jonathan, a lot of people, influential people, including this president, they all marched, protested against that administration. Professor Wole Soyinka was one of them. And a whole lot of other persons. Why are they keeping quiet? Why? Nigerians want to know.
I'm asking, as Nigerians, or do Nigerians miss anything by not voting Atiku Abubakar?
Well, if what they are getting now is what they had elected to get out of the Tinubu administration, well, all well and good. But I don't think from, the voices, from what is being said, in different corners, of this country by different people, both the rich and the poor, the old and the young, to suggest that they are happy with the choice that they made.
What would Nigerians have gained, or what are they missing? Can you tell us what Atiku Abubakar would have brought to the fore if he were president?
Listen, Atiku Abubakar understands the business of bringing people together. Skills, irrespective of how they worship, where they come from. Atiku will have started by putting together a team, top class, the kind of team that we saw during the Obasanjo era. You can't fault them wherever they come from. Because there are talents that are bound in different parts of this country. And you cannot, out of political expediency, choose the worst of us to preside over the rest of us. You will get nothing. So he will start. So that was the first mistake they made. Atiku Abubakar put a good team that understands, the problems of this country. And by the way, I don't know about this president, but I know that Atiku Abubakar has a hands-on. He really has, he understood where the, what the problems, are. He knew that resources are dwindling. We don't have money to finance some of the projects that we want to do. And so he will have ensured there is a handshake, with the private sector and create an enabling environment for the private sector to be able to bring in their resources and take the burden off government so that we don't keep borrowing money to be paying for the, what is it called, to be paying for the interest of the loans that we have taken. For how long? That is not sustainable.
I mean, you look at the flotation of the naira, the merger of the foreign exchange corridors. And don't you think that these are the kind of steps that a lot of people have been advocating for, that this government has implemented?
It's not sustainable, Sean, to take from the foreign reserves and be defending the naira. It's not sustainable. Because sooner than later, the foreign reserve will be depleted. And when that is depleted, it will have consequence on the economy. You see, nobody is happy and nobody is applauding the fact that the naira is depreciating. No. What we have a grouse with is the manner in which some of these policies have been implemented. That's a challenge that we have.
What do you think is the way forward? We are almost 1 year into the life of this administration, and those who are in government think that they are on the right track. But it doesn't look like that to you, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, or some members of the People's Democratic Party. But what, for the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, what do you think is the way forward?
We have to stop playing politics with everything. We have to stop playing politics with everything, including our economy. They even, playing deaf. We're trying to have a conversation, with them about some of the things that they are doing that don't bode well, for us. So you need to be able, at some point in time, acknowledge that you're not on the right path, and then you try to, make amends. They're not doing that. They're not listening. To whatever it is that they are doing is also subject to, to review. It's subject to change. What they are doing right now is not just working. Trial by error. Trial by error. It's not working.
So Nigeria needs a reset.
We need a reset.
Let me get you into some other issues. How would you describe the current status of the relationship between Mr. Atiku Abubakar and Nyesom Wike?
Nyesom Wike has charted a different path to serve his interest. Because I don't understand what interest. Is it the PDP interest? It cannot be. It is his interest. All well and good. For him.
He has said that he's a member of the PDP.
Well, it's one thing to say something. It's another thing to,
What would you think are the signals that makes it look like he doesn't have the interest of the PDP?
Well, I don't know. I think he's the only one in the best position to do that. But whatever it is that he's doing, clearly shows that it's at variance with the interests of the party.
If there is one thing that Mr. Atiku Abubakar did in the prior to the 2023 elections and in the 2023 elections that he may have wanted or done differently, what would that be?
Well, we could have managed, the fallouts from the primaries better. It could have been better managed. And even I think he has indicated that. He has said that himself.
What about, Wike costs Atiku Abubakar a lot, isn't it?
Well, there are factors. It wasn't just a Wike factor. There were factors that didn't serve our interest well.
There are those who believe that Mr. Atiku Abubakar didn't manage relationships well. Even at the fact that what led to Peter Obi leaving the PDP, that was a major damage to the opportunity or the chance of Mr. Atiku Abubakar of being president.
Atiku Abubakar didn't in any way force Obi exit, from the party.
It's a matter of the fact that relationships were not well managed.
It's not about relationship. There were factors, and the person I just spoke to, Wike was also instrumental in the exit of, Obi.
How?
Because Wike had promoted the zoning of the presidency to the south. Okay? Atiku Abubakar had said that he was prepared to get himself off the ticket if the party zones the ticket to the southeast. Wike frustrated that effort because he believed that if it was zoned to the south, not the southeast, he would be in the best position to be able to get the ticket. And so he was instrumental in the exit of Obi out of the party.
Do you think, with the benefit of hindsight, that if the Atiku Peter Obi ticket had been sustained, the case would have been different in the outcome of the election?
Well, there's no doubt about it that the Atiku Obi ticket of 2019 was viable ticket, and it still remained viable because the Labour Party took away some of the votes of the PDP. I believe this is time to reflect and look at what went wrong, and I want to believe that all the actors, including His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, having that reflection. Perhaps that is why he keeps urging for a coalition of the opposition, because if this if they stand together, and that affords them an opportunity to be able to oust the ruling party.
If there's one regret on the lips of Mr. Atiku Abubakar about that election and how everything went, what would that be?
They could have done better.
In what way?
In aggregating, all the disparate, interest.
It looked like the mandate was very near to his grip and it fell off. That's how it looked, at least from a candidate's point of view. It looked like he was on a vantage in that 2023 election, maybe better than any of the years that he has run to be president. If you look at it, does it look like Mr. Atiku Abubakar will run in 2027?
Well, 2027 is still a long way. I've been asked, I think you were the one that asked me that question, and that goes to Nigeria has to, to survive. There has to be Nigeria before we all begin to think about our various aspirations.
But politicians plan.
Well, the
politicians think ahead. So you are saying that Mr. Atiku Abubakar has taken off the possibility of running 2027?
What we are preoccupied with now is the survival, of the nation, is the welfare, of the people. You're not going to have your aspiration over a dead, people who can hardly, people can hardly have a meal.
So should Nigerians remove Atiku Abubakar from their mind ahead of 2027?
It's up to Atiku Abubakar. It's not, Atiku Abubakar will make that determination. What I'm saying is that should not be our focus now. And that is why Atiku has been, in the forefront of offering his counsel, offering his ideas, to this government.
Those in opposition parties believe that the only reason Mr. Atiku Abubakar is voicing out his opinion and his counsel is because he wants to be in the fray and he wants to be in the on the lips of Nigerians ahead of 2027. That 2027 is the reason why Atiku Abubakar is talking.
Atiku Abubakar has been consistent in offering alternative and credible ideas. He didn't start today.
But it was being criticized that he kept quiet after 2019 election and he went to Dubai to go and experience vacation for several years.
That's not true. Atiku Abubakar, like every other Nigerian, is also entitled to take a break away from work. After the rigors of the 2019 election, a lot of people, including me, took a break. And that does not suggest that you have removed yourself. You also want to give the government of the day an opportunity to thrive. Otherwise, like the character in Animal Farm, you will be accused of even the eggs falling out the rafters.
You look at the PDP, there are those who think, if Mr. Atiku Abubakar cannot unite a simple political party unit, how can he unite the nation? How difficult is it to unite the PDP in the kind of mess and the crisis the party finds itself?
The party is not an individual. The party is an aggregation of a group of persons.
But I imagine that Mr. Atiku Abubakar is the leader of the PDP at the moment.
A tree will never make a forest, even if that tree is an Iroko tree.
But everybody know that in the forest, the Iroko tree is a leader of the forest.
But that does not make
the lion, when he roars, everybody knows that the leader of the animals is coming.
That does not make it a forest.
Well, he gives leadership.
There has to be a conscious effort by stakeholders and leaders of the party.
That the fact that Atiku is not providing the kind of leadership necessary to unite the PDP.
To go back to the vision of the PDP when it was established in 1998. They need to go back, to that. It's not just about an individual.
Did you see what Emeka Ihedioha has said? That the party is failed. The party cannot even uphold its own constitution. The party cannot even uphold its own status. The party cannot even follow internal processes. He thinks that he cannot associate himself with that kind of association any longer. And that is the party of Mr. Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah, so it's also wrong to assume that, because like I said, Atiku is not the party. Atiku is a leader, is a stakeholder. There are several leaders and stakeholders in the PDP. So it's about the party. If you start talking about Atiku Abubakar, then you're making a mistake. It's about the party.
But you are Paul Ibe.
That's right.
Your children bear your surname.
That's right.
Your wife go by your surname.
That's right.
In your home, you have things put together. You are the leader of your home.
Yeah.
When you say that you want some peace, you get some peace.
I also uphold
your ability to put your family together is on you, isn't it?
I also uphold some values. Those values are known to my family. And by the training I had given to them, they also expected at every point in time to manifest those values that best represent.
Because the PDP always talk about the PDP being a family. If Atiku Abubakar is the father and the leader of the family, why is the family left in such a mess and chaos for this long and is not able to put it together? There are those who believe that Atiku Abubakar has failed as a leader of the party.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean by as a leader of the party.
Is he not the leader of the party?
We're not running a parliamentary system.
But he's the last presidential candidate.
No. We are running a presidential.
It's conventional and traditional, Mr. Ibe.
We are running a presidential system, not a parliamentary system.
No, but it's conventional and traditional in our politics.
You see, what was adopted in the APC, for the convenience of the person that adopted it then as a leader, it's not the same with the PDP.
When PDP lost the election,
we have our leaders.
Goodluck Jonathan, as the last president, was the leader of the party until the next presidential election.
Ours is not a parliamentary system.
So you are saying
cannot be talking about
Atiku Abubakar is not the leader of the party. Is that what you're saying?
He's one of the leaders. Atiku Abubakar is one of the leaders of the PDP.
So the party is rudderless?
No, the party is not rudderless. What is happening is that possibly because of several years of being out of government, the party has deviated. It needs to come back, like I said, to the vision of the founder.
How can the party do that?
There is the NWC, the National Working Committee of the party.
On a final note, our nation needs to get better. In your own view, how can we achieve this?
There has to be, we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be able to tell ourselves some home truth. We shouldn't say one thing and then do another. We need to be very inclusive in the government that we run. Inclusivity is a tool for national unity and development. You can't shut out some people from the affairs of state because of how they worship or where they are from, and expect that all will be well. All will not be well. So we need to ensure that bring people together, irrespective of where they are from, and we need to let them to be to have the benefits that every other citizen enjoys. We need to do that. There is too much acrimony. There is too much of double standards. We need to address these issues going forward. But more importantly, we need to give the best of us the opportunity to preside over the rest of us.
Mr. Paul Ibe, thank you so much indeed for your time. I really appreciate the frank conversation.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you
so much. And that's our conversation with Mr. Paul Ibe, a journalist and a media advisor to a former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 election. That is your MyCon podcast for this week. Thank you indeed, everyone, for joining. I'm Sean Kimbaloe. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of MyCon Podcast with Sean Kimbaloe. MyCon Podcast for the independent mind.